now return to Mark Willis and Road Dogg Trucking News on SiriusXM's Road Dogg Trucking Radio.
Hey, I want to welcome you back, ladies and gentlemen. Energy expert Rey Treviño is on the line with us, and man, a lot of stuff that's going on right now on this Monday, first day back from vacation for me. And boy, oh boy, was it good to unplug. You know, just do nothing, do that digital detoxification. What does that mean? I turned off my phone. I turned off my internet. The only person, like I mentioned, that knew where to find me was my daughter. That was it. That was it. Period. So it's always good to do that. And I know that one gentleman that can't do that, or maybe again, is energy expert Rey Trevino. And Rey, great to have you back on. You ever get to the point of the work day, work week, where you say, man, I just got to turn this little baby off? Welcome back, man.
Oh, thank you as always for having me, Mark.
Sure.
Sounds like you had a great weekend. I would like to think that I could have that opportunity one day, but I think we all wish we could just shut it all off and just go away and disappear for a good weekend.
Well, I'll tell you what, you got to come back to it, right? That's the name of the game. And, man, it's putting on those boots and wading right back in it. Nice to have you in. And tell folks what you do. You got the Crude Truth podcast. Man, it is a beauty. Tell folks about it. What do you guys do?
Yes, thank you. I have a wonderful podcast that I like to promote and talk about called The Crude Truth. And what we like to do is bring on industry experts in the energy sector to talk about all the positive that's going on within our industry. But also I bring on additional experts in other industries just to kind of round it all out. And I also love to bring on some policy makers and policy advisors within the oil and gas industry and within our government. For an example, I just released a great episode with Congressman Pat Harrigan of North Carolina, and we discussed the government shutdown that we're currently in right now. I definitely recommend people to go to thecrudetruth.com to take a look.
What did he say about the government shutdown? What are we into, like the first full week now? What did he say?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, he said that right now that the Republican Party is standing their ground as a unit, which is really something we have not seen from the Republican Party in a very long time, and that currently right now they are really trying to do their best to just continue with the continuing resolution that was in place so that they can come up with a good bipartisan deal on the other side. And that's what they're saying. They're also saying that right now that possibly the far left, maybe AOC, is really sticking it to Chuck Schumer, and that could possibly be why Chuck Schumer's being so steadfast on his side. And what's real interesting about that, Mark, is if any of your listeners out there recall, though 6 months ago when Chuck Schumer okayed the continuing resolution, a lot of the far left Democrats basically blasted him for giving in. And so it could really just be, whether you're on the left or the right, it could just be a game of politics. And unfortunately, the American people are the ones that get the hurt, that are the ones that are hurting. One random fun fact that he did share was that it's going to cost the United States about $15 billion at least during this government shutdown.
Oh, wow, that's a lot of money. This uncertainty playing into the energy market there, apprehension among the drillers, the refiners, things like that. Are they just saying to both sides, okay, man, let's get this thing done, get an agreement in place, and let's get back to work. What will this do for the energy side?
Yes, great question. Right now, anytime the government shut down, our energy security is at risk. Make no bones about it. We do need to also focus on filling back up the strategic petroleum reserves so we actually have a true strategic petroleum reserve, just in case we ever do need those assets and those barrels of oil and gasoline and whatever else is in the reserve for a true emergency and not just to lower the prices during an election cycle.
Yeah, and this also extends to maybe the nuclear side as well, maybe apprehension or uncertainty on, I think, and you mentioned it before, the nuclear is going to be the next wave here. Any hesitancy on that standpoint?
You know, that's funny you mentioned nuclear. And yes, I have said that before. I think as far as a next wave is going to go, we are going to see nuclear come back in and come strong. Congressman Pat Harrigan is actually a nuclear engineer, just like former Miss America Grace Stanke of 2023. Mm-hmm. And they are doing leaps and bounds strides to try to bring all the positives of nuclear back to the forefront, but also how safe it is to use and how efficient nuclear really can be. And right now, Secretary Wright, who is the Secretary of Energy leader, he is really also doing his part to be safe and cautious, but remove some of the red tape that the former EPA had put in place so that we can go explore new options in nuclear.
Yeah, and you mentioned the former EPA, that is under the Biden administration. I can't imagine that all that stuff under the Biden era is going to unravel that quickly. Is the energy side still dealing with some of the remnants or the hangover effect with energy policy from the Biden side, the Biden years?
Yes, absolutely. And that's where the continuing resolution comes into play, is that right now what we're trying to get, and like I said, but really we are doing our best, and what both sides need to do is come up with real bills and acts of constitution that allow the energy sector to continue to thrive and remove a lot of the executive orders that both presidents have done, so that we have true sustainable rules and constitutional law that allows investors to confidently invest and business owners confidently invest in oil and gas and additional energy sources for the long term.
Yeah, in the long term, you mentioned that, energy is really the way to go, investment-wise, right? What do you see there? What could you maybe mention to the investor?
Yes, right now energy is a great place. You look at what smart individuals and like Warren Buffett, they only continue to invest themselves. However, right now it's just such a great time because you look at all the data centers that are being built across America, and they're going to need some form of energy, i.e. electricity, to actually power these places. And not to mention that the population only continues to grow, which means we're going to even need more electricity for that, and we're going to need more gasoline for the cars, which I know a lot of individuals have heard. But make no doubt about it, right now, AI and data centers is truly such a place that we really need to be watching and investing in energy like oil and liquid natural gas to only supply it to the AI and as well as data centers.
We now return to Mark Willis and Road Dogg Trucking News on SiriusXM's Road Dogg Trucking Radio.
Hey, drivers. I want to welcome you back, and great to have Rey Trevino on the line with us. And Rey, thank you, sir. Where can folks sign on the web? One more time. What's the best way? I know you're all over the socials as well. Where can I go?
Yeah, so people can definitely go and check out us on the crude-truth.com, as well as I do have LinkedIn at Rey Treviño III. And also, we are trying our best now on Instagram, and that's oil_income.
Outstanding. You mentioned Rey Treviño III. Who was Rey Treviño the first and second? Granddad and your dad? Were they in oil?
Yes, that's correct. Yes. I always like to tell people that I am third generation, but really it was my father, Rey Jr., that really got us going. He started off in oil and gas and actually custom software. And he was writing accounting software for several oil and gas companies here in Fort Worth, Texas, where we're located. Wow. And because of that knowledge, he was able to learn more about all the great benefits of investing in oil and gas. And it turned out it's just not for all the land barons that have owned oil and gas for 100 years, that it's for everybody as well to invest and get the benefits.
What would your granddad think of the oil industry today? What would he think?
Oh, You know, that's a great question, and I laugh because my grandfather was in trucking, and he was a proud truck driver for 15 years, and he hauled pipe for a lot of the oil and gas companies. And so with my dad, again, that's why I always enjoy talking to you guys, because that put my father through education that allowed him to do, you know, what he does. But I would like to think that he would just be astounded and floored that if he woke up today and say all the great things that are going on within the oil and gas industry and all the leaps and bounds in technology and pharmaceuticals and just everyday conveniences that we have because of all the hydrocarbons that we pull out of the ground.
Oh, it's amazing, right? I mean, what legacy is there now? Of course, you're taking that charge going forward, and, you know, the global events that have been going on as of late, man, I'll tell you what, a lot of folks have talked about that. I know there was global events going on back when your grandfather was alive, and, of course, when your dad was operating in the software side of this. And one of the stories I wanted to get your reaction on is concerning the peace deal, the Gaza-Israeli ceasefire. How do you see this maybe affecting the oil industry? Are you maybe looking at the prices going down, say with the West Texas Intermediate, the Brent crude? Where are we standing with that? How do you see the oil prices overall? Will that change?
Yes, that's a great question. And actually, we are seeing a dip right now in the price of oil and the monthly average in the gasoline prices, not just here in North Texas, but across America. And first of all, what a day! And I get goosebumps, and I know God is real, and that He sent His Son, and that's what I believe. Mm-hmm. But what a day for Israel to have this peace and all these great things going on. So yes, there is actually some peace in the Middle East, which allows the price of oil to be where it is and subside. However, there's also a lot to deal with China and the tariffs. You mentioned that earlier. And that is another reason why the price of oil has continued to dip. As we know, on Friday, President Trump, put another tariff on China, and as they continue this war with the rare earth minerals, and that's another reason why the price of oil has gone down. It's because of the uncertainty of oil getting to China. Because make no doubt about it, just as much as we need China, China needs us. And in order for the Chinese economy to continue to grow, they have to have the United States economy. I had a great professor of economics, Dr. Ed Ireland of TCU, on a couple of months ago on the Crude Truth, and we talked about how important China is to the United States and really how much we're their lifeline, believe it or not.
Yeah, and many have said, and you've heard this before, that well, if we stopped exporting a lot of the oil out of the United States going into places like the Middle East or into areas, say, around Ukraine, that we would be awash in oil. Any thoughts on that? Or are we just we're not running into an oil shortage, are we, domestically? I mean, we're just swimming in this stuff, aren't we?
In some ways, we are swimming in this. We are still continuing to produce the most oil daily around the world at almost 14 million barrels of oil. As we know that OPEC is only going to continue to add barrels over the next 6 to 8 more months, and that's something that we're prepared for. And right now, with the way the world's going, again, the population is not slowing down. We only continue to grow. And places like China and India are only continuing to develop their middle class, which means that more and more people are going to need oil products and natural gas products and all the others across the board.
Yeah, and so the U.S. is a global energy leader, like you mentioned, top producer, oil and gas, leading producer of renewable. But it's really not the sole leader, correct? I mean, does China figure into that area, those areas like production and consumption, and in production in renewable energy? Is it kind of like a horse race right now between the U.S. and China?
Well, it's definitely an economic race between the United States and China. Okay. As far as they go, absolutely. China only continues to bring on more coal plants every year because they know that they need the energy to sustain their giant population. And when you really go back and look at what they're doing, coal is their biggest source, and they do over 60% of their energy is all coal-based. And keep in mind that is some of the dirtiest coal there is, and their EPA, they have no EPA, so all of the regulations are way less than America's, and it's just a darn shame to see that happen.
Well, and, speaking of the effects of coal or maybe burning of the fuels, that a lot of the fuel that's consumed in China, it does make its way into the United States as far as polluted air and things like that. There's really no way to maybe alleviate that. Is that a concern on the energy side, the indirect effects of the energy race, say, overseas, and how it affects maybe the environment in this country? How do you see that over?
That's a great question. And my best answer would be I would hope the other countries learn from our history. Absolutely, at one time when we would drill for oil and natural gas and coal, we may or may not have had the best work conditions or maybe the best environmental conditions. However, we've come a long way. And one thing I do know is that up-and-coming countries cannot afford renewable energy, green energy. It is too expensive. And so they need to continue to use what we use to become the power that we are today. Oil, natural gas, coal. However, they can do it in such a much more clean way than we ever did in the beginning of time as far as when we began to do this, especially during the Industrial Revolution in the early 1900s. They can take all that knowledge and be better as they go into this time. However, these places can't afford it and or are ignoring these problems.
My golly. Okay, and the government obviously cannot ignore some of the things that are going on, correct? I mean, the administration has really put a big emphasis on energy production, the drill, baby, drill scenario there President Trump has talked about, and that's got to be a good thing, right? Shifting of the priorities from the previous administration to a new vision, if you will, that will allow for further consideration of drilling, exploration, research, all of it leading to lower prices. Overall good news, right, for the energy side?
Yes, absolutely. This goes back to what we were talking about earlier about the investors being confident and moving forward in energy. And that's what this president is really doing by creating the legislation needed to actually have long-term stability, knowing that, hey, we're going to be drill, baby, drill, and really build, baby, build, and update our infrastructure that is almost 100 years old now and continue to only grow in liquid natural gas and in oil and in the green energy sources because we don't even have the infrastructure for that.
All right, got to leave it at that, Ray. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. We're out of time. Back in a minute. SiriusXM 146.